Buy the latest song by Timcast, Coming Home. Go to getcominghome.com, buy the song on iTunes, and with your support, we will smash those Billboard charts. Dead even, says Politico. Their Snap poll shows a stark division on the debate. They're actually saying it's 50-50. And you know what? Maybe. CBS says 42% Vance, 41% Tim Walz. I can't say I'm surprised. But any reasonable human who watched that debate, I mean, look at the photo they chose. There's no way that Politico, again, for those that are listening, it's J.D. Vance looking over like a normal dude and Tim Walz sitting there like a deer in the headlights with his eye. I can't even make my eyes that wide. And the frown he's making, it's weird. I don't know why they chose that photo, but I feel like any reasonable person who watched the debate would not conclude that Tim Walz won. That seems silly to me. Bias? Democrats? What do you think?
I think what's interesting is the media has decided, like when I was watching mainstream post breakdowns of this, the thing that they lead with was J.D. Vance struggled to condemn Trump's statements on the last election, right? That's the thing that they have said. 90 minutes in, that's where, Walz finally got him. But the thing is, for the first 90 minutes, and I would say even after that, Vance ran circles around Walz. They're saying that Walz being able to say that's an outright lie or whatever he said, like that's the big gotcha moment. But really, J.D. Vance had Walz on his heels the whole night. And I think the other point that they're sort of giving to Walz, I don't think totally fairly, is talks about abortion, because they're always going to say that the Democrat handled that better. But I actually think J.D. Vance talking about we need to win Americans' trust on this issue and we need to be a full stop pro-family party was one of the best moments of the debate, and I think of this political season. I mean, he is really redefining issues that conservatives have struggled to speak about in a way that wins confidence from voters.
Right, and I think the risk there is, maybe it appealed to moderates. That's been the play from the Trump campaign for the past several months is, start to pivot on abortion, go back to, let the states handle it. But the question is, what kind of effect is it going to have on the pro-life evangelicals and Catholics who are showing up to the polls? And basically, there's a huge percentage of evangelicals who show up just to vote against abortion. And I saw one poll from Barna that said participation this year from evangelicals is going down from 61% to 50%. So there's some kind of effect that this rhetoric is having on the willingness of evangelicals to show up and vote. And if they think there's not a pro-life candidate, they're not going to do it.
Check out this clip. This is going viral.
I'm just appalled. I can't believe this is the country I've lived in for 65 years. What's happening has to be intentional. There's no other way to explain what's going on. When I see the thousands upon thousands of military-age men coming alone without families, there's reasons for red flags. So yes, the immigration issue is huge.
She was asked by Fox following the debate, so this was earlier this morning, what she thought. Some people in this restaurant said they didn't think that the immigration issue was covered enough. That was her response. And I feel like she's correct. So, there's another great moment where J.D. Vance told Tim Walz, I feel bad for you. You've got this really difficult job of trying to explain away the failures of your running mate.
Hey, whack-a-mole, I think he said. Yeah,
whack-a-mole with these failures. 3.5 years, nothing got done. And, when I hear that woman, I agree. I don't know how Tim Walz is going to explain that away. I don't know how Kamala Harris is going to explain this away. It's the biggest elephant in the room for their administration right now, or for their campaign. We see all these problems happening. They are not solving them. No one thinks this is, it feels deeply intentional what they're doing. I genuinely believe they are allowing illegal immigrants to come in specifically to fill jobs numbers because they're worried about the economy. The economy is about to implode because of the dock workers strike. And there's no escape for them on this one.
I think Americans don't feel safe. There's this report from AP News that that 5 Chinese nationals were just charged for sneaking onto a military base at night. They were students at the University of Michigan at the time, or Michigan State University. And so theoretically, they're here on a student visa. On the other hand, this concern that we don't know who's coming to the country, and we don't know if they're staying, if they're going, if they have good intentions or bad. After, years and years and years of this compounding, I think that, Americans are really looking for someone who's going to take their concerns seriously. Saying, well, if you talk about this, you're racist or you're not compassionate, that isn't enough for Americans anymore. I think they're past that point. They want to feel like they're safe in their communities.
I think the polls are fake. I think everybody thinks the polls are fake for the most part, but how could you have people claiming Waltz won this one?
Yeah, any rational person who's seen him get flabbergasted, his big old eyes. I mean, they're very passionate eyes because they're really big and round.
Okay, Politico.
But yeah, any rational person who watches that and seen him every minute, every time he talked, get more flabbergasted as the day went on.
No, but you have to understand these debates depend. It's 90 minutes. It's a VP debate. I think just people are just tired of this. It all comes down to the gotcha moments that you have.
Yeah.
And in this case, there's, I'd say, two major gotcha moments. Waltz being questioned about China, and when he was there and the way he responded was just horrendous. And the other one is Vance being asked about the 2020 election. It was a tough question. He couldn't give an answer. Tim Walz knew that, and he put him on the spot. So I think that gotcha moment played into Tim Walz's hands. So it could have played a role, but I don't think it's enough to say Tim Walz was even close to JD Vance in terms of performance. So that's the only explanation that I have.
Do you think these polls are evidence of confirmation bias? Do you think the people that were asked went in knowing that they were going to say, Republican or Democrat, that's who I think won?
I think the only way those polls would not fall prey to confirmation bias is if there was someone that was, won by a landslide. That means, I think that was pretty close. I think they were both very civil. They agreed on a lot of points. I think they showed how. I wish more politicians would talk as they did, the way they've agreed on multiple things. It wasn't spicy, no personal attacks. So I appreciate that side of it. So I'd say JD Vance won, but not, 80-20. It was like, 60-40 is a good numbers here. And that small margin, relatively small, means that people will fall into confirmation bias and choose who they want to be the winner. And in this case, a lot of people chose Tim Walz for no good logical reason.
Right. I think a big question, too, is Vance's image. So for the past several months, all I've heard from Vance from the mainstream media is he's weird. They're basically trying to pin him with all these memes. He's obsessed with his couch for some reason. But I think if you actually watch the debate, if you're an undecided voter, he's more presented. I mean, who do you think looks weirder on that screen? It's not the guy on the left with the beard who's pretty, intelligent looking. It's the guy with the bug eyes who is apparently compassionate or something like that. So I do wonder what effect this has among independents too. Again, but the question is how many actually watch it. Is it that Venn diagram where nobody actually even cares about a vice presidential debate a month out, or has everybody made up their mind?
I think a lot of folks actually are paying a little more attention than they used to the last couple of times. This is a huge election, a lot on the line. So anybody who's kind of almost interested in politics is definitely going to pay attention because there's only two debates. There are
very few. I mean, the thing is, we had the Trump-Biden debate, but that doesn't even really count. I mean, it was massive. It was a massacre. But if we are going off a Harris v. Trump election cycle, there's only one presidential debate, there's only one VP debate. So that does add pressure. What I find myself thinking about is in the last debate with Trump and Harris, I think they had two different objectives. Like they had two different things they needed to accomplish. And for Kamala Harris, that was selling herself to independent voters as someone with a real personality and real beliefs and also real policies. And she flaked out on that. She didn't really give them any specifics. And in this case, I wonder if Walz and JD Vance had different tasks as well. Like, yes, they have to talk about the issues. Yes, they have to counter each other. But Walz has to fight this idea that he is just this brash, evil, mean man that whatever is going to be out there. And Walz has to develop kind of a backbone. And I don't think he did, but I think Vance did define himself on the national stage in a really successful way.
I just want to say, because I mentioned this the other night during the debate, that I feel a lot of Americans watched that and wished they were the presidential candidates.
Yes.
I like Trump, but Trump was, I was not an OG Trump guy, and a lot of big Trump supporters are critical of me for that. But I do think Trump is the better option, and he was a net positive president for my lifetime. That's a big deal. Watching JD Vance up there be very nice, and then Tim Walz be nice back, like their arguments were minimal. Your policies are wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, what did he say to Tim Walz, JD Vance? He's like, I feel for you. You got a tough job. He's smiling as he says it. He's being nice. And that's the kind of politics that I want for this country back. I do not think Kamala Harris represents that. I don't. And I don't blame Donald Trump for the media lying about everything he says to paint him in a negative light. But it is fair to say that Trump can be crass and crude. So right now, look, I'm happy for a Trump presidency because I think we need the bull to come into the China shop. Fine. I can understand people don't like the guy, but I'm excited for 2028. If this is what we can get moving forward and they call that Midwestern kindness, I'm pretty optimistic that we can get things to calm down a little bit.
And again, I think it's very important. It does make Trump more presidential having a VP like JD Vance. I think we should really focus on that a bit more. And I think it will change the sentiment around Trump. Because one of the main reasons, me and Tim were talking about this earlier, is that why, despite Elon endorsing Trump, despite Tulsi, despite Kennedy endorsing Trump, the polls are still razor thin. The margins are razor thin. And one of the reasons people don't see Trump to be presidential enough. A lot of people hate Trump for that. And JD Vance, I think, will play a key role in improving that image.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.